Hello and welcome to another one of my book reviews, and today I want to talk to you about Illuminations, the short story collection from Alan Moore, published early last year, 2022. If you're not familiar with Alan Moore, the man is a legend in comics and graphic novel scene, and the man just has written a ton of stuff from Watchmen, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, From Hell, the Jack the Ripper, graphic novel, just an absolute ton of stuff. The man is a legend. And he's written novels before, including Jerusalem, which is just a massive novel that I haven't read yet. But this is his first short story collection. Yeah, first ever short story collection, spanning 40 years of work. I know there's a lot of newer titles in here, but there's some older ones, including Hypothetical Lizard. But anyways, I picked up this copy from the Broken Binding last year, and it's actually still available from the Broken Binding. It's got nice sprayed edges there. It's probably still available due to the fact that it's not actually signed by Alan Moore. That is a facsimile signature. It's printed, which makes it a little less fancy. But anyways, I was very excited to dive in to Illuminations. Now, I will say that overall, the whole collection, a five-star read in my opinion. Now, obviously, everything's subjective, but I'm going to kind of talk about each of the short stories, what I liked, what I didn't like. Starting with Hypothetical Lizard, which I believe is the oldest story in the collection. It's actually one of the ones that I disliked in the short story collection. Now, Alan Moore has a way with words. The man, like, he writes like a poet, but, in short story form here. And Hypothetical Lizard was, in my opinion, one of the weaker stories from it. I mean, I know it must be a classic. I know it's been adapted into graphic novel form. It's kind of the story of a couple old concubines in this pleasure house, which it's they have all sorts of pleasures in there, and it's all from the point of view or from Samsam, who is she had her mind kind of split. There's an actual name for the surgery where she can, like, the left hemisphere of her brain and the right hemisphere have been split, so she can move from the one hemisphere, but she can't talk from that same hemisphere. But anyways, I don't know. This one I felt was just wordy for the sake of being wordy. It almost made me not want to continue on, which is kind of a shame, because if you are like me and you're also not intrigued by Hypothetical Lizard, then you're probably not going to want to continue. But let me tell you, you should, because it gets much better from there. Not Even Legend, the is an interesting tale, a very fun written tale here that follows two plot lines, or two different stories here. One that's kind of going forward in time, one that's going backwards in time, kind of like Memento, if you will. And it deals with a organization that wants to search for, kind of Bigfoots. They want to search for mythical creatures in society. Meanwhile, you have the italicized text, which is from the point of view of a mythical creature, a man who is going backwards in time. A very interesting concept, and it's really fun to read. It was almost one that you have to read twice, because when you get to the end of it, you're like, well, now I want to go back and reread from the start what was going on with the italicized sections. Location tells the story of a realtor in the Day of Reckoning. So all of the people on earth have been raptured up to heaven, and now these strange biblical beasts are roaming the earth. And there is one lone woman, one realtor, who is there to show a house to the new man in charge, aka Jesus. It is a changing of the guards. The old God, the father God, is packing up, and his term is done. Jesus is taken over, and the wit in this story, oh my god, it was fantastic. It read like a Haruki Murakami short story. So if you're familiar with Murakami, if you like Murakami, you'll love Location. Another short story author who I can compare it to is Reese Hughes. I love Reese Hughes' work of what I've read by him. It's the same kind of sardonic humor displayed in Location, which is absolutely fantastic. Next, you have Cold Reading, which is Alan Moore's take on a ghost story, which, like a little fake medium getting a taste of his own medicine. It's all right. I mean, it's not bad. It's still a fun read, but it's more one of the more middle ground stories in the collection. Next up is a short story that takes in the span of a femtosecond, which at the Big Bang, at the moment of the Big Bang, before the universe was completely created, what if there was a civilization of little sentient brains? What was the name of the brains? It's Boltzmann brains. What if in that femtosecond of the universe being created, there was the entire rise and fall of the Boltzmann brain society? And it's by far the horniest short story of the collection, but it's still absolutely hilarious, and it is fun to read. I'm not gonna lie. It's just pure chaos. I mean, you get like giant paragraphs and paragraphs of text, but what a fun read. Illuminations, another one of the weaker short stories of the collection, the titular one. It's almost like a midlife crisis short story. It's about an older middle-aged man kind of reflecting upon his childhood spent at a beach. It was all right. And then you get the short story that isn't even short. The what we can know about Thunderman, which we're a little under halfway here through the collection. This puppy is over 200 pages. Look at this. This thing is all the way here. That right there is just the short story. And let me tell you, this thing could have been published by itself and it would still be worth the 5 stars. If so, Alan Moore, very well renowned within the field of comics, comic book writing, graphic novel writing. This is both his tribute and his giant middle finger to the comic industry. Now, I am not huge on comics. I mean, I've read comics before, but I'm not like a diehard comic book fan. I mean, I read the stories, I like the stories, but I am probably not the intended audience for it. That being said, it is written with such vigor that you can't help but love every paragraph. It comes in all different forms. I mean, you have just straight up third person omniscient narrations. You have interviews in here. You have some newspaper articles. You have an actual Senate, oh my God, what's the word? Transcript, a Senate transcript. I mean, there's online forum posts. It talks about the past of comic books. It talks about the present of comic books, but all of it is thinly veiled. I mean, it's clear that he is talking about actual comic legends or actual comic books. Whether you're talking about Goliath, which is actually Marvel, it's thinly veiled. There's clearly a DC. There's clearly an EC Comics. There's clearly references to Stan Lee, to Jack Kirby, and I'm sure you can get even more enjoyment out of it when you look up the people that these are based on. I actually found myself while reading this, looking online and reading more about the people they're based on. It is just incredible. It's like a soap opera that just draws you in, and the drama upon drama, the twist upon twist keeps you coming back for more, and it is so incredibly good. Just hands down 5 stars in and of itself. What we know about Thunderman, it's so good. Next up, you have American Light and Appreciation, which is his take at a beat poem, poetry. He even has an introduction, and he gets into the fictional American Light poem, which is a beat poem, complete with an absolute crap ton of annotations and footnotes. I it was all right. I mean, the poem was great. The annotations definitely, explain the illusions in the poem, but there's no real wit to the annotations, to the footnotes. They're just kind of there to strictly be informational. So if he wants to flex as a beat poet, he absolutely accomplishes that. But I don't know. I was kind of expecting more from it. Then finally, the last story, which is "And at the Last, Just to Be Done with Silence," is an entire is a short story entirely told through dialogue. That's it, just dialogue throughout. It's two amnesiacs who are on a quest, and they're trying to remember who they are and what their quest is, and it's funny. It's very funny. It's kind of got a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead kind of humor to it. It's funny. It's kind of a little Shakespearean in a way. It's a nice little cherry on top of the sundae that is Illuminations. And then you, of course, have the acknowledgments and the notes on the author. But yeah, Illuminations. Like I said, I might not have been the target audience just because I'm not as familiar with the entire breadth of Alan Moore's work. But from what I have read, I respect the man. And having gone in with my limited knowledge of Alan Moore, I respect the man even more. It was superb. Like I said, if you are like me and you're struggling through Hypothetical Lizard, I say hang in there because the stories get funny. The stories get weird. They get Kafkaesque. They get Murakamian. They get all sorts of weird and enjoyable. Or maybe you'll be the complete opposite of me. You'll love Hypothetical Lizard and you'll despise everything else. I don't know. I should have read this sooner because I was trying to read this sooner and get this finished and recorded in time for Black Friday because copies of this edition are still available through the Broken Binding, and for Black Friday they were like $5. But I had not completed it yet, so unfortunately it is back up to full price. You cannot get this for $5 unless you go on the secondary market, which, I mean, based on the fact that it hasn't sold out directly through the Broken Binding, you could probably find it for cheap on the secondary market. But seriously, check out Illuminations if you want to read a very fun short story collection. You could probably find copies wherever books are sold. You don't have to necessarily buy the Broken Binding copy. You might even be able to find a signed copy through other means, other bookstores. I think Waterstones had signed copies, which did not have the facsimile here. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. I have plenty of unboxing videos on the channel between these book reviews, and I have at least one book review a week. And I'm trying to do 2 a week as I close up the year here because I got a lot of books to catch up on. So please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you around next time.